have some mark out stories regarding wrestling. Um, and I think anyone who watches wrestling long enough has had moments when they mark out, right? And marking out is okay, first of all, if you don't do it all the time. And there are times though where people mark out in situations, that they really shouldn't have marked out on, you know. So look, people have their different definition for a mark, but marking out to me, I think it's like it's not just getting excited or popping, where you just cheer. That's not quite it. It revolves excitement, but that's when you have a moment where you just believe for that brief moment, um, or for however long it is, like what you just saw is the most amazing thing ever, or it just felt real to you, right? Even though we all know it's all kayfabe. What's kayfabe? Kayfabe is basically the illusion of reality. That's all it is. Like that's how you act. It's all the script, right? Um, Kayfabe is basically that's the persona actors put themselves in when they're acting, and it's got to feel real to them. It's a real actor. But when it comes to marking out, let me tell you some stories where I believe like that's totally marking out, and there are some wrestling fans that mark out to such an extent, where it just amazes you. So let me tell you some stories. Number one, the first story that comes to mind was for right before WrestleMania 18, right? Um, Not that long ago, I was just out of high school, and my brother and I went with a friend of his. To this day, I don't even know who this guy was. He was a friend of my brother's, though. But we went to his house to see, WrestleMania. Or actually, let me backtrack. It wasn't WrestleMania. It was No Way Out. Okay. And Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, they were coming back, quote unquote, to the WWE, WWF at the time. And then, there were the NWO or whatever, right? And I'll never forget, as I'm watching this, there was a segment where Hulk Hogan, Nash, and Scott Hall confronted The Rock, right? And Hulk Hogan stuck out his hand, basically offering to shake his hand, right? Basically saying, shake my hand. Um, the mother of this guy walks into the room when this happens, right? I'm like, all right. And she's like, oh, what's going on here, right? And then she starts talking to the TV. She starts saying, no, Rock, don't do it, right? I'm just like whoa. Say, don't do it. And then like The Rock was thinking about shaking the hand. No, don't do it, Rock. No. Like I was just like, oh, lady. I mean, obviously I didn't say anything. I was in her house, right? But that's what I was thinking. And then finally The Rock, he started insulting them or whatever, right? And then she was like all praising The Rock. Good job, Rock. Don't trust him, Rock. Right? Like this lady's marking out right now. Right? Holy shit. All right, that's one story. Uh, Another story. I had a cousin, speaking of The Rock, she had a huge crush on The Rock, right? I mean, she loved The Rock. Probably till this day, right? And we were watching wrestling, a cousin of mine, and she walks in the room. She didn't give a fuck about wrestling, really. Which was kind of strange that she marked out. Because the whole time it's telling, oh, this shit's fake. Why you guys watching this? Blah 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 blah. Like I'm only here because of The Rock, right? Like okay, fine, all right. So anyway, The Rock, okay, walks out, in the entranceway or whatever. Because if I remember correctly, it was the Big Show and Kurt Angle in the ring, and The Rock comes out, and all of a sudden it grabbed her attention, right? Now I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, she's just watching it because she's all attracted to The Rock or whatever. It's your big crush, whatever, right? No. You don't understand. She marked out like I never seen somebody mark out in my life. For somebody that doesn't watch wrestling, she marked out, right? The Rock comes out and said, yeah, you tell him, baby. Blah, 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 blah. She was just going all out, right? Whatever The Rock said, she was almost repeating it word for word at times, right? Like, yeah, what he said. Like, like, whoa, all right. Okay, Mrs., this isn't real, okay? Like, calm down, right? And then I don't know what they said to The Rock, and he got mad. And she was like, "Oh no, they didn't." Like okay. And then The Rock starts to run down the rampway, right? And she starts screaming, right? Ah! Like all out. Like, I'm just like, holy shit, my ears are hurting. Right? The Rock sides in the ring, and he starts punching the Big Show, kayfabe punches, and then Kurt Angle. And he's doing the whole Rock thing, right? She is screaming, get him, get him. And then I think they knocked the Rock down because he was outnumbered, right? And then she starts shouting, they're cheating. It's 2 against 1. This isn't fair. I mean, I just think, like, you were just telling us this shit's all fake. And now you're like freaking marking out like I never seen somebody mark out in my life. She started marking out. I mean, she's just complaining, okay, yelling on top of her lungs, right? Like they're double teaming The Rock. This is unfair. Why are they both jumping him? This isn't right. I'm just like, well, what? He's okay, right? And it's like she didn't believe me. And then the Big Show choke slammed him. Ah! Like I was just like, what? And then I think I forgot who came out. Somebody came out and helped The Rock. It was probably Stone Cold or something. And she started screaming again. The Rock got back up. They start, they clothesline Kurt Angle out of the ring. She starts screaming. Okay, they clothesline the Big Show out of the ring. She starts screaming again. Right? The Rock gets in the top turnbuckle. She's all blowing kisses at him. I mean, all night. I mean, this was the biggest mark out I've ever seen. Right? So yes, even people that don't watch wrestling, if it's the right performer, they'll mark out, right? I mean, this was mark out spectacular. Okay, I never seen some shit like this. All right, I never seen it in my life. Never seen it, right? So those are some mark out situations. I seen a lot of dudes, man. I just saw Carcino mark out the other day. I don't know how many of you guys have seen this video where he's all saying, I got you, John. I believe in you, John. I roll with John. I ride with John, he said. Carcino marked out. That shit's on camera, too. But did I ever mark out? Obviously, I marked out a lot more when I was younger, elementary school, middle school. The older you get, the less you should mark out, I think. Right? The less you should mark out, the older you get. I believe the older you get, the more you actually learn about the business, it becomes more of like, I don't know. It becomes more of a trying to, how can I say it? Like trying to predict what they're trying to do, right? You're always trying to, you're watching it more of a, being one step ahead of the product type of thing. Oh, okay, this is what they're going to do, right? I mean, you're kind of watching like that now. The older you get, it seems like it. It's like the older you get, the less surprised you get. Like there's certain things. Like if 2 guys are going to wrestle on Sunday and it's Monday Night Raw, usually the guy that gets the upper hand on Monday Night Raw, right, is the guy that loses at the pay-per-view. Not all the time, but it's if you were a betting person, you could almost bet on that, right? But when should you mark out? Look, let me tell you something. Again, the older you get, the less you should mark out. To be honest, um, I don't mark out, and I don't even know if we could classify it as mark out unless I see something spectacular, right? So one of the best moves I ever seen was AJ Styles. It wasn't just the fact that he did it; it was done properly, right? And it was executed perfectly. So TLC, he did it was like a double flip. I don't know the term for it, and he landed almost perfectly on Dean Ambrose, right? Almost. I don't think he could get more perfect than that. And the table was a ways away from the ring too. It was crazy, right? Um, I got out. I said, "Whoa, holy shit, holy shit balls!" Right? Um, Marking out. When did I mark out? Look. I ain't gonna. I ain't gonna lie. Right now, I was a little kid. All right, so it's okay. Give me a fucking break. All right. But when Yokozuna, right, defeated Hulk Hogan, and the announcers were saying that Hulkamania was dead, I mean, I was heartbroken as a kid. Right? Yeah, D Style was heartbroken. Right? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Like I fucking hated Yokozuna. Right? I mean, I fucking hated that guy. And then like he did the bonsai and fucking Hogan like 2 3 times after he beat him. Holy shit! Holy shit! I was one of those depressed kids. Right? I mean, it's I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. Right? Marked out. When I was a kid, I was marked out when the Ultimate Warrior came out. I mean, that's just the way it is. All right. When the Ultimate Warrior came out, as a kid, man, I marked out. I was running around the freaking living room like I was the Ultimate Warrior. Right. There's no doubt about it. But as that's the rule, the older you get, the less you should mark out. Honestly, it becomes more of a I think they're going to do this. I think they're going to do that. It just becomes more of a guessing game, and becoming better at predicting on what they're going to do. It's like almost every WrestleMania. Like I've always called what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be, or how they're going to do it. Like I always did by right before Royal Rumble time. I can always see it right. About 9 out of the last 10 Royal Rumbles, I always knew who was going to win the Royal Rumble. It's never shocking to me. So I've reached that point where I can watch the product a couple hours and I already got a grasp of what they're trying to do, what they're foreshadowing, right? And I don't know how much of that is just that they're that predictable. I believe that that's what it is. Or how much of that is just knowing the business, right? Knowing what these guys are doing, right? And it's probably common. Let me tell you something. When last year, who won the Royal? Okay, last year I did not call that one, right? I'll give you that. I did not picture Triple H coming back and winning the Royal Rumble. I didn't. But other than that, the year before that, everybody knew Roman Reigns was going to win, right? Everybody knew it. The year Batista won it, everybody knew Batista was going to win. Everybody. I think the year before that, John Cena won it. Everybody knew he was going to win. And everybody knew The Rock was going to beat CM Punk. They knew the main event at WrestleMania was going to be The Rock versus John Cena for the title. They knew it. They already knew this. Right? We all knew that. Come on. Almost every single time, you already know where they're going with it. And almost every single, like everybody knew Roman Reigns was going to beat Triple H in the main event of WrestleMania last year or this year, but you know what I mean, last WrestleMania. Everybody knew that. Nobody was shocked. Oh my God, that shocked me. Like really? So anyway, I think The WWE, man, with that said, really needs to work on its predictability because the shit's so predictable. I mean, it's insane how predictable it is. They really need to work on unpredictability. That's why, by the way, I don't have a problem with Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar. Everybody kind of assumed Lesnar was going to win. They lied to you. They said he was coming back for one match. That wasn't true. But that was a good lie, right? They need to do a better job at just catching people off guard. They do. They need to be more. They need to surprise people a little more. And even if people know, yeah, that guy's going to be champion eventually. Well, don't let them know when it's going to be. Don't make it that predictable. I'm trying to think of other mark out stories, man. Holy shit! I mean, I see people mark out. I don't know how many of you have spoken to a mark. I've spoken to marks, right? Like people that think, or I don't know, it's like weird. I think they know it's not real. I think they know that. But when they talk about wrestling, they don't talk about it like we know it's scripted or something. No, like they talk about it like it's the real deal or something. Like for real, right? Like they'll talk about it like it's the thing. Like who do you think would win? Goldberg or Stone Cold? My answer is, well, I don't know, whoever the writers say wins, right? Okay. No, but Goldberg's a lot stronger. I mean, you think Stone Cold could kick out of the spear? Like, all right, dude. All right. I'd favor Goldberg. You know, I think Goldberg. It's just I think he'd win that match. I think it'll last like 6 minutes, and then he'll do the jackhammer. I don't know if Stone Cold will kick out of that. He'll kick out of it if it's part of the script. Okay, I don't know if you know that. All right. I think Goldberg could kick out of 3 stunners, but I don't know if Stone Cold. Shit's insane. Like they talk about it like it's real. You know, John Cena's a 15-time world champion. Or how many times that fucker won a world championship, right? Yeah, I know. I mean, I think he's the best ever. Why? Because I mean, who else has won that many championships? Like, the shit's scripted, right? Dude, like he won it 15 times. I don't know. It's like weird. Okay, I can't talk to somebody like that. I can't. I can't do it. Right? I just can't. Right? Anyway, there are some people out there that it's weird. It's just weird. I think they buy into the kayfabe. They buy into it, and a little too much. You know, like they'll talk in kayfabe to you about the product. Which is kind of again, it's weird. It's like a weird thing. Aside from the show itself, the people that work for the company and are broadcasting live shows for them, aside from that, no one should be talking kayfabe, right? When they talk wrestling, it just shouldn't happen, right? It shouldn't happen. Sorry. Sorry. All right? Can't do it. By the way, I know a lot of people give wrestling fans a lot of shit for marking out, but let me tell you something. And let me say this very seriously. If you take the term mark out on social media, the way people mark out for shows like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead. I mean, when Glenn was killed in The Walking Dead, you would have thought that Glenn was a real person that really got hit by a baseball bat over his head and got killed. I mean, you would have thought this was a real person, the way people were mourning a character on the show, right? People did videos crying like, I can't believe they did that to Glenn. Okay. So if you ever, as a wrestling fan, mark out because somebody did an amazing move, or you know what, that promo was fucking awesome, whatever it is, I don't give a fuck, right? Oh, I know. I marked. I can't even lie. When Eddie Guerrero won the WWE Championship, because he was from El Paso, right? That's where I'm from. And Eddie Guerrero actually grew up a couple blocks from my mother's house. They were childhood friends, right? Never personally met Eddie himself, but I met some of his family members. But when Eddie Guerrero won the title, I marked out. I did. I marked out. I didn't shed a tear or anything like that. And if I did, I wouldn't admit it. Okay, but I marked out. I did. Right? I marked out. And I hate to say his name because of what he did, and it's terrible, but when Chris Benoit won the title, I marked out. Right? So I've had my moments, but make no mistake about it. If you're a wrestling fan, right, don't feel bad about marking out, right? Especially when you have people over here on social media marking out for shows like the Kardashians and shit, right? You know how many people I see talking about the Kardashian shows, like if it impacts their life or some shit? But that's real. Yeah, look, there's nothing real about the Kardashians, okay? Their face ain't real, their boobs aren't real, their asses aren't real. I know where you're getting this shit's real. It's a reality show. They ain't even good at acting like it's real, right? So whatever. Fuck that show. Had to watch one episode once. Okay? Long story, but I had to sit through one fucking episode once. Most terrible shit ever seen. I don't know what people see in these shows. Right? They killed Jon Snow! Like, you guys know, the actor of Jon Snow isn't really dead, right? Come on. And let's not act like nobody was marking out for Ramsay Snow on Game of Thrones. Like if you didn't see that dude in real life, you wouldn't beat his ass, right? Like, okay. You know how many people wanted to attack the actor of Joffrey, right? All right, they were attacking, doing death threats on the actor of Joffrey. That's how real it felt to some people. All right, so spare me the whole like, oh, wrestling fans, man, they mark out for shit that ain't real. Like, are you kidding me? Really? Compared to some of the shit I see on TV today, and the way people mark out to that, it's not even close. It really isn't. At least in a wrestling show, the fans are part of the whole thing. That's the difference, right? Wrestling should have fan involvement. Without the fans, there's no wrestling show, right? The fan interaction is part of what makes wrestling. On these shows, like Walking Dead and all that, you guys aren't part of the show. You're still fucking mourning and crying for some Glenn guy, right? Which was a badass scene, by the way. And Negan is a fucking boss, right? I don't give a fuck what anybody says. How could he like Negan? He killed Glenn. I don't give a fuck, right? Negan is the heel, right? See, these terms in wrestling, they use it in these shows nowadays, right? Shows weren't always like this till wrestling. And let me tell you something. People give wrestling a bad rap, right? But the formula used in professional wrestling is used in almost everything you see in entertainment today. All right? Now, today we know terms like heel and baby face and, getting over and things like that. Marking out. Like, we know these terms because they kind of, there's no more like fine line. There's no more like let's act kayfabe around people, right? That doesn't really exist anymore, right? But you see, shows were not this. A lot of these dramas, they follow the same formula, right? When they introduced Negan to everybody, they were introducing the new heel, right? And they needed him to create some heat. And they did that by killing Glenn, right? They do that in wrestling all the time. All the time. Now, they don't kill in wrestling, okay? They don't go that far, right? But they do, beat up a lovable character and jump them, beat the shit out of them, put them out of commission for a while. Kind of like, when they wanted to really put Yokozuna out there as a big heel, what did they have him do? They had him beat Hulk Hogan and bonsai him like 5 times and make kids cry, right? So the whole heel, baby face, a story being told, and the way that drama is played out. Okay, not only do they follow that in a lot of these dramas nowadays, they do that with even in sports and shit, right? Muhammad Ali admitted he followed the same blueprint of Gorgeous George, almost to the T. Different character altogether, right? But he understood the value of being entertaining. And Muhammad Ali, he wasn't a professional wrestler, but he was probably the best ever at cutting a promo, ironically enough, right? He was very good at it. And other guys, they knew the value of selling themselves. Conor McGregor's following, okay, the persona of a professional wrestler right now to sell himself. Floyd Mayweather did the same thing. Floyd decided he's going to play the role of a heel, right, to get people to watch his fights. Right, this is all, based out of professional wrestling. The blueprints right there. So anytime somebody comes out, oh, fuck wrestling, it's fake, it's this, it's that, when half of the shit you watch on TV is fake, right? Those shows you watch aren't real, okay? I'm sorry, the story of Game of Thrones is not real. There's no wall, okay? There's no White Walkers. I'm sorry. The Walking Dead ain't real either, right? But they have you marking out, don't they? Right? So at the end of the day, and I say it all the time, man, don't feel bad about being a wrestling fan. No, fuck those people, right? They've been biting off of wrestling for years, right? The way wrestling promos, almost every sports genre today ripped that shit off, okay? Almost every single one of them, right? The designs and the stuff you see, like, to promote matches, almost all of it ripped off from wrestling. Almost all of it. A lot of these shows that have drama, just the blueprint right there, just right out of wrestling. Because wrestling has been following the same blueprint, right, for forever. For as long as pro wrestling has been around, right? Way before there was television and they had wrestling at carnivals and shit, right? They always knew how to tell the story. And that type of storytelling carried on to everything else you see today, right? Anyway, I'm going to bed. So mark out and thumbs up my video, all right? Anyway, I'm out.